By the time I pulled into the country club parking lot, my van sounded like two raccoons fighting inside a washing machine. The engine coughed once, wheezed dramatically, then died in a puff of gray smoke right beside a row of luxury cars that probably cost more than my entire bloodline. I sat there gripping the steering wheel while the smell of onions filled the cabin like a chemical weapon. "Come on, baby," I muttered, slapping the dashboard. "Don't embarrass me tonight." The passenger door immediately fell open and dumped 3 empty energy drink cans onto the pavement. Perfect. A valet in white gloves walked toward me confidently, then slowed down halfway like he'd spotted a dead body. "Nope," he said quietly, backing away. "I'm not insured for this." That pretty much set the tone for the evening. Inside the engagement party, everything looked expensive enough to make me nervous. Crystal chandeliers, giant flower arrangements, tiny appetizers sitting on spoons for some reason. My sister Vanessa stood near the ballroom stage wearing a sparkling dress and the kind of smile rich people practiced in mirrors. Then she saw me. Her smile collapsed immediately. "Oh my God!" she whispered. "You actually drove the van here?" "It still moves," I said proudly. "Barely." My Aunt Gloria swooped in before I could defend myself. "Sweetheart, your vehicle smells like a taco truck exploded." "That's not true," I replied. "There's also mildew." My Uncle Rick nearly choked laughing into his whiskey. "There he is!" he barked. "The family disappointment." I gave him a thumbs up. "Still drinking before sunset, Uncle Rick?" He pointed at me dramatically. "See? This is why nobody lets him around weddings." Meanwhile, guests kept staring at my suit. To be fair, it did look slightly haunted. I'd bought it from a thrift store beside a laundromat, and I was pretty sure the previous owner died in it sometime during the Nixon administration. Vanessa grabbed my arm and pulled me aside. "Please," she begged quietly. "Just tonight, can you act normal?" "I am normal. You once got banned from a petting zoo. That goat started it." Before she could answer, her fiancé approached us. Ethan. 6'3". Calm eyes. Built like a refrigerator made of military-grade steel. The man barely spoke all evening, but somehow every room became quieter when he walked into it. I knew he was part of the United States Navy SEALs, but Vanessa treated that information like she personally discovered fire. "Ethan, this is my brother," she said carefully, like introducing a wild animal. His eyes locked onto mine for half a second longer than expected. Something about that look felt strange. Before I could think about it, a waitress passed by carrying champagne. Uncle Rick spun around too fast and elbowed the tray directly into my chest. Glass exploded everywhere. Champagne soaked my shirt. The room went silent. Then Rick pointed at me. "He's been here 5 minutes!" Laughter erupted across the ballroom. I bent down helping the waitress pick up broken glass while my face burned hot enough to fry eggs. That's when I noticed someone kneeling beside me. A brunette bridesmaid. Pretty eyes. Dark green dress. Dangerous smile. "You okay?" she whispered. "Depends. Is public execution legal in this state?" She laughed harder than she should have. "I'm Claire," she said. "Daniel. Professional embarrassment specialist." "Well, Daniel, for what it's worth." She glanced toward my van outside the giant windows. "I kinda respect anyone brave enough to drive that thing. That makes one of you." "Two," she said softly. For the first time all night, somebody smiled at me without pity. Unfortunately, that beautiful moment ended when Grandma shouted from across the ballroom. "Danny! Did your van leak oil on the roses again?" Dinner somehow became worse after the champagne disaster. I sat at the far end of the engagement table beside Grandma, who kept stuffing dinner rolls into her purse like the country club was about to run out of bread forever. Across from me, Uncle Rick was already drunk enough to wink at decorative plants. Meanwhile, Vanessa stood near the center of the room smiling through another painful toast from one of her rich friends. "To Ethan and Vanessa," the guy announced proudly, raising his wine glass. "A perfect couple." Successful, beautiful, disciplined. Then his eyes drifted toward me. And proof that every family eventually produces at least one weird cousin living in a basement. The room exploded laughing again. I forced a smile while staring at my mashed potatoes like they personally betrayed me. Grandma leaned toward me. If it helps, I once hit that man's father with my Buick. It does help, actually. Then Aunt Gloria spoke up loudly enough for everyone to hear. So Daniel, she asked sweetly, what exactly do you even do these days? There it was. The question. The entire table went quiet waiting for my answer. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Because honestly, explaining classified military dog training contracts to a table full of people who thought I repaired vending machines for a living felt impossible. Uncle Rick grinned like a shark smelling blood. He trains raccoons to steal catalytic converters, he announced. More laughter. Vanessa rubbed her forehead in embarrassment. And then something unexpected happened. A chair scraped loudly across the ballroom floor. Ethan stood up. Not casually. Not slowly. The entire room immediately fell silent. The man had that kind of presence. He looked directly at me with a face completely serious. For one terrifying second, I honestly thought he was about to throw me out himself. Instead, he straightened his posture. Then he saluted me. A real military salute. Sharp. Precise. Respectful. Sir, he said firmly. The silence afterward felt nuclear. I blinked at him. Uncle Rick blinked at him. Grandma whispered, "Oh boy," before stealing another bread roll. Vanessa looked completely confused. "Ethan, what are you doing?" He never looked away from me. "What I should have done the first time we met," he replied quietly. The room stayed frozen. Then Ethan reached into his suit jacket and pulled out his phone. He turned the screen toward the family. Pictures. Military dogs. Soldiers. Dusty camps overseas. And me. Covered in mud beside a massive German shepherd wearing tactical gear. Aunt Gloria nearly dropped her wine glass. Ethan's voice stayed calm. "The dogs he trained saved 12 men during my deployment." He paused. "Including me." Nobody laughed anymore. "He trained bomb detection dogs under live combat conditions. Half the routes we walked overseas would have killed us without his work." Vanessa stared at me like she'd never seen me before. "You never told us that." I shrugged awkwardly. Nobody usually asks after the raccoon jokes. Ethan ignored the tension building around the table. "Men came home alive because of him," he continued. "Some of us got to marry the women we loved because of him." Claire's eyes found mine across the table. This time her smile looked different. Softer. Warmer. Almost proud. Then Uncle Rick, drunk beyond human limitation, suddenly stood up holding a breadstick like a sword and shouted, "Thank you for your service!" before saluting me directly in the face with the breadstick. Grandma burst out laughing so hard she snorted. "I told all of you idiots the government kept calling him," she yelled. "But no, everybody thought Danny was unemployed." "I technically was unemployed," I muttered. Claire leaned toward me carefully. "So," she whispered, "you train military attack dogs?" I nodded once. She smiled slowly. "That is unbelievably hot." At that exact moment, my ancient van alarm suddenly went off outside the ballroom windows for absolutely no reason whatsoever. The ballroom energy changed completely after Ethan's salute. 30 minutes earlier, I'd been the human equivalent of a parking ticket. Now suddenly relatives kept staring at me like I might rappel through the ceiling and arrest terrorists between dessert courses. Honestly, it was uncomfortable. Aunt Gloria cleared her throat awkwardly. "Well, that's certainly impressive, Daniel. You called me a basement goblin 40 minutes ago." "I was joking. You threw a shrimp at me." In my defense, it was a very emotional shrimp. Meanwhile, Uncle Rick had become aggressively patriotic. He refused to sit down and kept randomly saluting me every 6 minutes. At one point he saluted a waiter by mistake. Then Grandma decided things weren't chaotic enough. "Oh, please," she scoffed loudly. "You people act surprised like Danny wasn't always weirdly dangerous." I immediately pointed at her. "Don't." Too late. "When he was 12, Grandma announced proudly, he handcuffed the mall security guard to a pretzel machine." Claire nearly spit out her drink laughing. Vanessa covered her face. "Grandma, he said he was practicing tactical restraint. That guard accused me of shoplifting." "You did steal the sunglasses. They looked good on me." The entire table started laughing again, including Ethan, who nearly choked on his whiskey. But Grandma wasn't finished. "Oh, tell them about the fireworks." "No. When he was 16, he accidentally launched illegal fireworks through the Hendersons' inflatable hot tub. I said I was sorry. Their pool noodles melted, Danielle." Claire grabbed the edge of the table, trying not to laugh too hard. I could actually feel myself relaxing for the first time all night. Not because the embarrassment stopped. Because people were finally laughing with me instead of at me. Then Grandma delivered the nuclear weapon. And nobody should forget the goat incident. The room went silent. Ethan looked fascinated. "Goat incident? There was no goat incident." "There absolutely was," Vanessa muttered. Grandma pointed at me dramatically. "He stole a petting zoo goat because he thought it looked depressed." Claire completely lost control, laughing. "I was trying to help him. You hid it in our garage for 3 days. He liked jazz music." Ethan bent forward, laughing so hard tears formed in his eyes. The terrifying Navy SEAL who probably survived actual gunfights was now crying over emotional support goats. Eventually the noise inside the ballroom became too much for me. I slipped outside into the cool night air beside my van. The stupid alarm was still making weak dying noises. I smacked the hood. "Shut up," I whispered. The alarm somehow became louder. Then the ballroom door opened behind me. Claire stepped outside holding 2 drinks. "You escaped too?" she asked. I needed fresh air and less goat-related slander. She handed me a drink and leaned against the van beside me. Up close, she smelled incredible. Meanwhile, I smelled vaguely like engine oil and onion rings. "Can I ask you something?" she said softly. "Depends how illegal it is." Her smile widened. "Why didn't you ever tell your family what you actually did?" I stared down at my drink for a second. "Because dogs were easier than people," I admitted quietly. "Dogs don't judge you. They don't care if you're awkward. They either trust you or they don't." For the first time all night, nobody interrupted me with a joke. Claire just listened. "I got used to being the weird guy," I continued. "After a while, it's easier to let people think you're a loser than explain everything." Her expression softened. "I don't think you're a loser." Before I could answer, the van doors suddenly detached completely and crashed onto the pavement beside us. We stared at it in silence. Then Claire burst into uncontrollable laughter. And somehow, I started laughing too. By the time Claire and I walked back inside, the entire engagement party felt like somebody had secretly swapped families while I was outside. People moved out of my way now. That had literally never happened before in my life. Uncle Rick spotted me entering the ballroom and immediately stood up too fast. "There he is!" he shouted. "America's dog whisperer! I swear to God, sit down." He pointed a mozzarella stick at me proudly. "This man protects freedom. You tried to microwave a beer earlier. And I'd do it again." Aunt Gloria suddenly appeared beside me holding her phone. "So hypothetically," she asked carefully, "could you train my Pomeranian to attack my ex-husband?" "Absolutely not." "What about emotionally intimidate him?" "Maybe." Meanwhile, Ethan stood near the center of the ballroom finishing another toast. The entire room had gone quiet listening to him. "I've met a lot of tough men," he said calmly. "Most of them wanted everyone to know how dangerous they were." His eyes shifted toward me. "But the bravest men I've known usually stay quiet. They do difficult things without asking for attention. Without needing applause. The room stayed completely silent. Ethan lifted his glass slightly toward me. Some people save lives without anybody noticing. For the first time all night, nobody laughed. Vanessa slowly walked over toward me looking genuinely emotional. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. That alone almost gave me a heart attack. "You don't have to." "No, I do." Her eyes watered slightly. "I spent years making jokes about you because I thought you wasted your life." I rubbed the back of my neck awkwardly. "To be fair, I did once get arrested at a flea market. You tasered a guy selling fake concert tickets. He was scamming old people." "That's not the point, Daniel." But she was laughing while she said it. Then she suddenly hugged me. A real hug. Not the side hug people give raccoons at animal shelters. For a second neither of us spoke. Finally I grinned slightly. "You still owe me for blaming me when the goat ate your prom dress." Her jaw dropped. "You trained the goat to do that." "He acted alone." Across the room Grandma yelled. "That goat was a hero." The ballroom erupted laughing again. Later that night, guests slowly started leaving while the staff cleaned tables around us. Ethan was helping Uncle Rick figure out why he'd somehow put car keys inside the chocolate fountain when Claire found me outside beside the van again. The night air felt cooler now. Quieter. Claire leaned against the side of the van carefully this time, probably afraid another door would fall off. "You know," she said softly, "this is the strangest engagement party I've ever attended. Top 3 for me too." She smiled. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then she stepped closer. "I meant what I said earlier," she whispered. "Awkward men who secretly train military dogs are weirdly attractive. That's an incredibly specific type. Still counts." Then she kissed me. Right there beside the ugliest van ever manufactured by mankind. Honestly? Best moment of my entire life. When we pulled apart, she laughed softly and touched my jacket. "You still smell like onions." "That," I replied proudly, "is the smell of freedom." Before she could answer, Grandma suddenly leaned halfway out the ballroom window. "Danny!" she shouted. "Did you ever fix the brakes after I drove the van home drunk?" Claire froze. "You what?" Grandma waved dismissively. "It was only a little illegal." Ethan's laughter exploded so loudly inside the ballroom that people turned to stare. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the family embarrassment anymore. I felt like I belonged.